And welcome back to the second segment of our show this morning. We're switching gears and having a conversation this time around about intellectual property and the rights that come along with that particular idea and the creativity and everything that comes along with it. That being said, we have been joined on set by Olabimpe Akinkuolie. She is the Deputy Registrar over at BELIPO. And as I mentioned, we're going to be discussing everything that has to do with intellectual property from a broad perspective. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here.
Yes. So I want to start off by just being able to understand what BELIPO does. It is the Belize Intellectual Property Office.
Yes.
And let's talk about what your role is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, my main role is to administer all intellectual property legislation, and this consists of the Trademark Act, the Patent Act, the Copyright Act, and the Industrial Design Act, the new Plant Varieties Act, and the Layout Circuits Topographies Act as well. Yes.
So you work with the government from a legal perspective in protecting these particular rights that we have for our creativity and our skill sets.
Yes, I do that. My main role is just intellectual property rights and to see that it is registered and well protected in Belize.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is an area where perhaps a majority of us Belizeans are not as knowledgeable as we ought to be, where it concerns the things that we put to use in terms of our creative elements and designs and that sort of stuff. I get the impression that we need to know more in order to protect ourselves, protect our ideas and these types of things. Where would we begin from?
Well, I could not agree with you more, Mr. Enriquez, because right now persons are not understanding what intellectual property is because they don't see it. Sadly, when people think of property, they think of land. Intellectual property, they think, oh, it's land that you're dealing with. And I say, no, it's not land. It is something intangible. It's still in your thought, ideas. But the moment they become an expression of your work, that is when it becomes protected. So it's moving from tangible things that we can be able to see, touch, to an intangible asset that cannot be seen. It's still within your mind, but it's still an expression of your work.
So obviously, one of the most common examples I think that people begin to understand is where we talk about copyright, and specifically with artists.
Yes.
We spoke about fitting this conversation in now because it is a conversation that is taking place in the wider public. BISCAP, for example, it has been speaking about implementing copyright regulations to wider Belizean public, to business institutions. Let's just start off with the relationship that BELIPO has with BISCAP, and then talk about how we use that example to explain intellectual property.
Okay, first of all, in terms of our relationship, BELIPO is a government body. It's a public office.
Yes.
So we cater to the public's interest. Now, BISCAP to some degree has some of the features that our office has, but they are more of a private entity, more specifically a non-profit government organization. So pretty much that is to explain just the first factor. And second, we also share any knowledge as to copyright that BISCAP can call on to us, and we will be right there to share the knowledge, attend any seminars, workshop that they have their artists and they want us to be present to better explain the area of the law and what we do at BELIPO. So pretty much that is the second aspect of our relationship.
So you guide them with the legislation that they are trying to implement?
Yes, that's true,
So let's talk about what intellectual property is.
Okay.
help us to demystify
Okay.
this.
I will try not to use any of my legal
Oh,
jargons.
no. We want
I
the
will-
layman.
As layman as possible.
And we
I
may
will
interrupt
simplify
you if
it.
you go into legalese.
Please do. Please
Okay.
do. Okay, I'm just going to give it the creativity of the human mind.
That simple.
Yes.
So if I create lyrics to a song,
Yes.
if I produce a music for a background,
Yes.
A script for a movie.
a script for an advertisement, but it must be original.
Yes. That is copyright.
Okay.
And that is, again, intellectual property has many branches to it. I want to put this out there.
Yeah.
Copyright is just another branch
Yeah.
to intellectual property.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, one of my questions has always been, if I create something, and it's creating from your own mind, drawing my own creativity and putting it into something that I share with others.
Okay.
Do I have to register it? Do I have to have a legal certificate saying this is my original idea, therefore no one else can use it? Or is it automatic?
Well, one thing about copyright is that once it has been created, there is an expression of it that it can be seen, it can be touched. Whether that lyric is now on a piece of paper, or it's in a song, or the script is in a film, it can be said that right there and then it is an automatic protection. It is. But we encourage, and that is the main keyword, we encourage registration of anything that you produce, because the world is getting, or rather the technology is being very disruptive in anything that we create. It becomes very sad knowing that your creation is your bread and butter, and you then do not protect it, and someone just adapts it, translates it, takes it and puts it in a CD and starts selling it for its own profit, but you did not protect it.
Yeah. And our two classic examples that we usually use are the song
Kong
Watanege Kong Soup and Marie Sharp, of course, with her previous brand Melinda.
Yes.
So it shows that even us in Belize can have our ideas stolen and our creative work stolen as well.
Yes.
Now, you know, we just had a conversation about decriminalization of marijuana. And I think one of the things that came out of it is, are we ready for that particular purpose? And I bring that same question to you. There's so much education that has to take place.
Yeah.
I really feel like people in this country feel they can pull anything off the internet and use it in their own way and then call it their own.
Yeah.
So are we prepared for the full implementation of the consequences that can come from infringing on someone's intellectual property rights?
Well, that is a very good question, Ms. Koyar. First of all, public awareness can become a greater factor in the implementation. Persons don't know persons don't know it is an offense to begin with. They don't know that this action, this daily habit of you waking up in the morning, going to wanting to put certain music into your MP3 and putting it in a CD and making copies of it and selling it to your friend, they don't know that that act is an infringement. So it has to go back to the basics from even as a child growing up. You have to start to let them know, okay, going on the internet, and just a simple thing is the SBA. The SBA is one. Is to say that students have the tendency of going to all this source of information and taking it and just putting it into their SBA and not paraphrasing it, or just using the facts itself. So, and then automatically they call it their own. That is an infringement.
That is plagiarism.
That is plagiarism.
Yeah.
That is plagiarism, and it is, and plagiarism is an offense if you get to the point that you take all, not just
and attempt to pass it off as your own.
Exactly. So now copyright is now stepping into it and say, okay, this issue is getting big. People just don't know.
Yeah. Well, Olabimpe, let me move into some of the controversial issues. So, because I want the legal perspective, I think it's easier for us to understand it in that way.
No problem.
So, our Belizean artists produce music.
Yeah.
And with BISCAP, they're working to enforce the rights that they have, the intellectual property rights that they have over their music.
Yes.
Through copyright. Now, I think a perception that people have had in Belize for a long time is we want to expose Belizean music. We wanna promote it. We wanna hear it on the radios. We wanna walk into a store and instead of hearing Taylor Swift, we hear, or any American pop artist, we hear a Belizean artist.
Yes.
Now, what has happened with the education and the promotion coming out of that entity is that now there is a charge to be able to do so.
Yes.
Explain to us how, I mean, what is the balance between appreciating music and promoting specifically music and using for poor intent or for profit somebody else's work?
Okay.
Is it a clear question? I'm trying to.
Let me gravitate to the angle that you're going for, Ms. Koya. Okay. I'm going to simply take. I'm simply going to use Jamaica just as a sample.
Okay.
I will just use that.
Yeah.
One thing that I did law school in Jamaica, Norma Manley Law School. Shout out to my law school. The one thing that I gravitated to when I was in Jamaica is the pride, is the love that they have for their country, for their flag, for any creative, the culture. The culture is, like, Jamaica is just big in culture, and that love is there. And that translates into their song, into their dance, into their everyday routine, into their little gesture of just how the way they talk, their patois. So bringing it right back to Belize now, it is safe to say that at this point right now, we need to start to learn to appreciate the Belizean culture.
Yeah.
I think that is
enough to protect it.
Yes, that doesn't. I don't want to say it does not exist, but we can do better.
Oh, absolutely.
We can do better with being creative with our brands. We can do better in supporting other people's creative rights. Because just by their creation and what they do to create an album, staying up from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then
effort, the personal sacrifice, the financial
that they themselves have to take out from their own pocket and not get it from the bank or any enterprises. Just that effort itself needs to be seen. People need to see that people are actually making this their livelihood.
Let me approach it from this perspective, just to present an illustration out there. For one, I believe that there is a degree of inferiority in the way that we think, whereas we believe that what we're producing or what we're putting out there is not up to scratch with what exists internationally as a matter of standards and what have you. So then we tend to want to set aside original composition if we're talking about music in favor of sampling something that is out there already that is popular. And we find it oftentimes when we look at the major utility companies, for instance, and their advertising. It's all stuff that they're borrowing from outside, but it's seldom that you see an original composition in an ad. They always interpolate something that is I could go on and on with the examples, but I'll choose not to, but you get what I'm saying. Because we feel as if though if we were to go into a recording studio with a producer and an artist, we may not be able to produce something that we believe would be world class. So we tend to find what is already out there and what is popular,
Yeah.
and then we create our own version
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
which in itself too
Yeah.
is an infringement of that
Other
person's.
people's exactly. Exactly. Well, you do shed a good point right there, Mr. Enrique, because
Can I correct you? It's Cayetano.
Cayetano,
Oh,
I
sorry.
do apologize, Mr. Cayetano. It is again. It goes back to loving what we do. If you're not consistent, if you're not persistent, you are not going to get the desired result, right? Because I say this, and again, I'm going to use an example here. I was born in Nigeria, and it is beautiful to know that while I'm in Belize, the land of my growth, I can still see some the music stream where it's becoming big in the land of my birth. And when I hear it and I see my friends, my peers appreciating this whole use of drum and everything, I'm like, wow. And to me, I said, you know what, Belize can get like that.
Yes.
Because one thing that I have learned from my culture back home is we love it. And anything that to get the world to appreciate us through any sort of creative works, music, movie with the old Nollywood. Because I know Nigerian movies are still a big hit.
Yes.
I
Very
kid
much
you
so.
not, a lot of people come up to me and they want to literally speak like me, and I'm like, well, why are you putting on an accent? But
Yeah.
again, it's just to show you that once you love what you do, because a director can sit down and write all the scripts, and he might take 2 years, 3 years to produce this work.
Yeah.
But he's trying to send a message through his art to let people know, maybe expose certain things about another area of the world, or get to for the entire world to see our culture. So you know what, I'm going to labor for it. I'm going to be consistent in education. I'm still going to produce, even though I don't say that $10,000 every month or $5,000. But once I get my big break,
Yeah.
once I get that big platform, then everything skyrockets.
But I suppose the challenge is, this is where I find it so hard to understand.
Yeah.
How do people pay for your work if they don't know about your work?
Okay. And I guess this is where the marketing aspect of your work comes. And like I said, I cannot to some extent say what are the functions of what BISCAP does.
Yeah, no, we're talking copyright in
But overall, I think marketing your brand
Yeah.
is important. And one thing that the law allows you to do is when you have exclusive right of your own work, you can license it, you can assign it, you can do, in copyright there are two main rights. There is the economic right and there is the moral right. The economic right gives you the advantage to rent your creative works.
Yeah.
Gives you the right to translate it in any other language that would get to the outside world. It allows you to even rent it. And if there are, and again, it's with your consent.
Yes.
That is the most important thing. So if you see someone out there and you're using playing your music in the radio, for example, and the radio station, then I'll call you to say, we're going to at least just play your song for just 1 hour, or we are trying to do an ad and we want to just put in your song for this ad. You are infringing my rights. I never gave you the okay to use my stuff.
So they may not charge you, but it's simply, it's making the request.
Yes.
And if the owner of the property
Yes.
says,
Agrees.
yes, go ahead or
Yes.
use, or pay me X and you can
Exactly.
use it, then we are fine.
Exactly. So again, it boils down to your creative work, and also value your work too as well. I think that's the most important thing. How you must always learn to have some sort of self meditation, soul searching about your creative work, because again, it is your work. What you are producing, is it of value for persons to want to invest and buy $5 of that album?
We are living in a global society.
Yes.
And what technology has done, as you pointed out, it's
Yeah.
really allowed us to spread or to have a much further reach
Okay.
than we once had before. And in other countries, the issue of copyright is
Yeah.
a lot more rigid.
Yeah.
And I say this because we have our own personal example. We stream everything we do online. And I can clear, in case anybody has
Yeah.
ever asked why we don't play advertisements in our live stream on Facebook,
Yeah.
it's because we will be blocked.
Too many red flags.
And in a matter of being consistently providing this service to viewers,
Yes.
we made a decision to no longer share ads, commercial breaks,
Okay.
because the commercial breaks have copyrighted music.
Yes.
Even as their background or as a lyric or something or the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
So it shows that even when a company in Belize wants to create something,
Yeah.
they also need to take into consideration, if they want the right reach,
Yeah.
what type of music they're using in their own advertisements or when they go to their production company.
Yes.
So we also have a responsibility in Belize, and
Yeah.
I'd imagine BELIPO does as well, to ensure that the rights of those outside of Belize are also protected.
Exactly.
It
And
goes
while
back.
Go ahead.
I hate to interject,
no,
but
jump in.
you're right, Marlene. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. Now I'll use the example flatly.
Yes.
The Weeknd has a song. It's called Starboy.
Okay.
Right? And then the artist comes in and he reworks the song, and now it's Smart Boy. But I'm almost certain that they did not place a call to Toronto, where the Weeknd is, and ask them if they can use that particular piece of work.
Yeah.
So that when we're streaming live and it comes to time to run that ad,
Yeah.
automatically we get flagged because
Shut down.
Yeah.
it is picked up that what we're doing
Yeah.
is we're playing something that is unauthorized, so to
Exactly.
speak.
Yeah.
Exactly.
YouTube, Facebook, these companies, they
Yeah.
have an automatic algorithm to
Yes.
detect
Yes.
music
Yes.
that is copyrighted.
Very true.
And if we do have permission, we can write them back and say we have received permission to
Exactly.
use X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
But their mechanism is block and then prove that you have
Exactly.
access.
Exactly.
So we use this really as an example. So we have this example, and I know a lot of people in Belize don't understand it, but we have to be able to ensure that we're protecting the rights of those outside as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it shows that whether or not we're ready for it, and I asked you the question earlier,
Yeah.
we are going to be subjected, if not to what our local or Belizean creative persons are copywriting,
Yeah.
we are still going to be held on the gun for external
Yes.
products that we're using.
Very true. Very
Yeah.
true. Very true. Well, again, is to also see that when we get to a point that we are able to better understand what copyright is, it becomes very strong. Here in Belize, international organizations are going to also feel well protected.
Yeah.
Because again, one can say that is how some of these international organizations think. Can I market certain things here? Can I bring certain things here?
Yeah.
And the first thing they try to make an assessment of is, where is our laws? Where is it regulated? And what aspect is regulated? And does it have such a strong enforcement? So that is why BELIPO, yes, we are tasked with regulation, we are tasked with registering, and we are also tasked with not too big on the enforcement, but this is where we then get other government parties, stakeholders involved, whether it's at the customs, whether it's the police, whether it's the various merchants. We just get them involved to understand, okay, intellectual property rights. This is what it is all about. This is an infringement. And this, so to me, other stakeholders need to be involved in this whole public awareness. BELIPO cannot do it on its own.
Yeah.
We are going to make an attempt, but I know that if we champion the cause for persons to understand intellectual property rights, we will get to the point that musical works, artistic works, literary works, dramatical works, screenplays, films will have such a strong hold or capture our culture, and more or less it will be very well protected here.
Yeah.
And persons will respect it more, respect our culture more, and respect our work more.
You know, and here's one of the plus sides in my perspective.
Yes.
If we are to reach the point where we truly understand copyright infringement or infringements upon someone's intellectual property is that it forces us as a country to be more creative
Yeah.
and innovative,
Yes.
and in a sense build our own identity.
Yes.
So we'll know, similar to Nollywood that has their own style, we'll know what Belizean films
Of
will be
course.
like, what
Of course.
true Belizean
course.
advertisements could be like.
And rightly, as you say, Miss Marlene, I want to give a congratulations to the two films, Belizean films that will be appearing in Carifesta. And to me, that is just to show you an example, and also to Niche too as well. Niche has been doing a great job in whatever to promote culture. So again, it goes down to appreciating and knowing that our culture is of value.
Yeah.
It's also of monetary value. And so all we just need to do is, again, be persistent, be consistent, because the outcome will show.
Yeah.
Because Rome wasn't built in one day. And that's the thing that the persons want to get this immediate gratification to having their album produced and people wanting to buy. No, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
You have to keep the grind going
Yeah.
when it comes to copyright. And right there, Carifta is showing too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, what is your advice to creatives in this country who perhaps neglect the idea of properly protecting their work? What are the options that they have, and what do you recommend that they do if they create something new?
Okay. Well, first of all, to begin with, because Mr. Cayetano stressed the inferior aspect of what persons have for their work, I think the first thing is you need to take that mentality out of your mind. Never see your work, never see yourself and what you create as being inferior. So once that is out, because again, it's all about the mind.
Yeah.
You're creating something, but don't see that thing as being inferior.
Yeah.
So once you put in that work, I advise and encourage registration. Like I said, yes, it becomes automatically protected, but it does not become automatically exploited, because it can be exploited for so many reasons that you don't know, you being the original author. So right there and then, register it. When such registration is being made, then exploit. You have the exclusive use now. Think of ideas of how to market it. Think of how you can get some sort of monetary value in it. License it. Have some ad. Put it out there. If there is a like a theme song to it, because I know
we have music producers
Yes.
that come up with beats.
I'm looking at several different things here in my mind.
Yeah.
Right? When I look at visual artists, for instance,
Yes.
painters, photographers, they seem to operate in a different realm than musicians.
Oh, of course.
Where, for instance, if you look at a Tony Rath,
Yes.
he takes his pictures, beautiful imageries and sceneries of Belize, and those are properly protected because he understands what that is.
Of course.
And then you look at the average Belizean artist, a musician, who maybe is just concerned with putting out the work, but not necessarily looking at the legal aspects of protecting the work. So that you find that it seems that the visual artists are more awake in a sense than the musical artist who performs, who does a lot of stuff that may be original, but either they don't take the time out to understand the mechanics of how that works behind the scenes, or there may not necessarily be the kind of awareness campaign to constantly keep them abreast of what is happening and what their rights entail.
Understood. And this is where we are going to go champion the cause of public awareness, because as you rightly said, Mr. Cayetano, is that education is the key point here. Staying informed, or how you say in this new generation, staying woke. But it is important to say that education is key. The fact that Mr. Rat, because Mr. Rat takes the most amazing pictures, and he already knows that I am taking my time to go to these places to capture it from a certain angle. The fact that I'm standing there, I'm getting all type of mosquito bite.
I'm invested in the equipment.
I've invested in the equipment. You know, if rain falls right now, my equipment will get spoiled, but I'm going to take the perfect angle. But you know what? I am going to protect it because I know that persons will love this and they want to reproduce it and call it their own. So, and that is what I encourage too. We will do our, BELIPO will continue to raise awareness of copyright and intellectual property overall, but it is also on the artists, on the composers, on the publishers to bring their work to our office and have it registered. Registration is key. It is now become an essential component of protecting your work from being exploited or infringed by third parties.
Okay. Great.
So, yeah.
Well, we would love to have you back again because, as you said, this is a broad topic. One day we'll talk about the common infringements that we see so we can educate people to change their habits. But thank you for coming in and demystifying.
Thank you. I'm happy to,
this concept
to
of
simplify it because I was like, I hope, let me try and see, but yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead now and take that final break. And when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up. So stay tuned.